Hey everyone, welcome back to Eternal Philosophies. Today we're celebrating a really important date, April 30th, the day when George Washington officially took office as the very first president of the United States. And there's no better way to honor this moment than by diving into the life, the values, and the words of the man who helped shape an entire nation. April 30th, 1789. That's the day George Washington stood on the balcony of Federal Hall in New York City and took his oath as the very first president of the United States. Now, a lot of people think of July 4th, 1776, as the moment America became independent, and they're right. That's when the Declaration of Independence was signed, breaking ties with Britain. But April 30th is just as important, because it's when those revolutionary ideas were finally put into action, when America officially launched its first government under its new Constitution. Washington wasn't just a war hero by then. He had become the living symbol of this brand new experiment called America, and the hope that it could actually work. Who was George Washington? Born in 1732 in Virginia, Washington started out as a land surveyor. Pretty humble beginnings. Later, he made his name as a military leader during the French and Indian War, and eventually took command of the Continental Army during the Revolution. But here's the thing. His greatness wasn't just winning battles. It was in the moments when he chose to walk away from power, after the war, and again after 2 terms as president, setting a model of leadership based on service, not ambition. 7 quotes from George Washington. 1. Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. This quote captures just how contagious freedom can be once it's planted. Washington said this as America was just starting to figure out what independence really meant, and you can feel his optimism for the future. 2. It is better to offer no excuse than a bad one. Here, Washington is all about taking ownership of your actions, especially during the Revolution, where weak excuses could have cost lives. He lived by the idea that honesty, even when you mess up, is stronger than any excuse. 3. Be courteous to all, but intimate with few, and let those few be well tried before you give them your confidence. True friendship is a plant of slow growth and must undergo and withstand the shocks of adversity before it is entitled to the appellation. This quote feels especially personal, coming from a man who faced betrayal and loyalty tests throughout his life. Washington knew that true friendships aren't instant. They're built through trust, loyalty, and surviving the hard times together. 4th. Still, I hope I shall always possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most enviable of all titles, the character of an honest man. Washington really didn't care about fancy titles, not general, not president. For him, being remembered as an honest man was the greatest achievement, and that's exactly the legacy he aimed to leave behind. 5. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. This quote came from Washington's farewell address, basically his final advice to the country. He was warning America, don't get caught up in endless conflicts. Build trust, act fairly, and always aim for peace. 6. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Washington really believed in unity, being American before anything else. At a time when states still thought of themselves almost like little countries, he pushed for one strong national identity. 7. Associate yourself with men of good quality if you esteem your own reputation, for 'tis better to be alone than in bad company. This advice came from Washington's personal rules of civility, written when he was just a teenager, and yet it carried through his whole life, because he knew that the people you surround yourself with can either elevate you or drag you down. George Washington's life reminds us that greatness isn't about fame or power. It's about character, patience, humility, and the quiet strength to do what's right even when it's hard. His legacy is a challenge to each of us to live with integrity and purpose. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Eternal Philosophies. See you next time.